Hi, I'm Carrie Tamidia from workwithcarrie.com. I'm a certified EFT practitioner, matrix reimprinting practitioner, and prenatal reimprinting practitioner. I have the great opportunity to work with people every day, helping them change their lives and feel better tomorrow than they do today. And here on Living Energy Day through Zoom, Karin Davidson is here with me to talk about freeing your future by clearing the weight of your past with matrix reimprinting. Karin is an international trainer for EFT tapping, a certified matrix reimprinting trainer, an advanced clearing energetics trainer, co-author of 3 EFT level course books, a Reiki master, a certified hypnotist, and creator of prenatal reimprinting. Whenever she isn't training, Karin has a full-time private practice, balancing emotional setbacks, clearing painful memories, and unblocking her clients' paths to fulfill their highest potential. She has been learning, practicing, and teaching these methods for over 35 years, and she has created over 150 DVDs in various energy practices. Hi, Karin, welcome, and thank you for being here with me.
Hey, thanks, Carrie, and thanks for doing this interview. Appreciate it.
Of course, I'm really excited to hear everything you're going to share with us today. Can you start by just telling us what is matrix reimprinting and how does it work?
Okay, well, that's a big question, but essentially it's a technique that clears the impact of the past, your past traumas and negative learnings with the events that have occurred in your life. Sometimes they're good events, sometimes they're bad events. And what happens is there's a weight of associated negative emotions that occurs with trauma. And what happens is we learn to deal with life. Usually everything that we learn, our foundational learning, is from before the age of 6.
Wow.
So that means what we're doing is we're looking at, we're seeing, we're observing, and we're hearing, and we learn how to function in the world. And it's interesting before the age of 6 because beta waves, which is your reasoning mind, don't kick in until around 6 years old. And isn't it surprising that first grade starts at 6 as well? So we're mostly learning out of theta and delta waves, which is observing and behaving according to what we see and what we hear and staying out of trouble. And how am I supposed to work in the world? And that's also what I do with prenatal reimprinting is we learn in the womb as well. And that's a whole nother story. So what we do is in matrix reimprinting, we find a way, and I'm going to go into a little of the science of that, we find a way to go back in our imagination and work with our younger selves. Because let's take a spider phobia, right? That's not necessarily logical. If a spider's 400 feet away and it's a room full of people, the spider isn't going to go, I think I'll leap 400 feet and sit on Karin and bite her because I don't care about the other 400 people in the room. I just care about biting Karin. And so Karin wants to run out of the room. And I know, anybody, if you've spoken to someone with a phobia, they know it's not logical. They know that they shouldn't be afraid of a spider 400 feet away. But the problem is the amygdala in your brain says, warning, warning, spider. I remember the first time there was a spider. So now every time there's a spider, I'm going to keep myself safe. And the hippocampus goes, yes, keep yourself safe. Well, what we know about EFT is we tap on the meridian points and it calms these emotions so that the hippocampus can say, now it's safe. And now I can get on with my life. And the amygdala doesn't have to be the guardian and make you afraid. The difference with EFT, though, and matrix reimprinting uses EFT,
Right.
is that EFT is essentially something that calms the emotions. Unless you're very trained in the techniques of using EFT to clear past events, it just calms your emotions from now. That's generalizing. Sometimes it can permanently, but usually you have to use additional skill sets as a practitioner. With matrix reimprinting, what happens is when we go back and in our imagination, actually talking to your imaginary younger self, we are able to transform that negative learning. You get to relearn it. And that's what's so great. You go back and instead of learning that I'm not good enough, or mommy doesn't love me, or no one's going to make friends with me, or I can't trust men, or I'll never find the right person for me, or whatever the 18 million things that we have, we can go back and change that. And it also includes things like, if you were in a car accident, or the death of someone and you can't let that go, we have skills in the matrix reimprinting methods that will also help clear that. So it's a really nice way to clear your emotions, and it's almost like magic. It's almost like waving a magic wand, because once you get a new learning, it actually sort of like generalization of friend. It's like a domino effect, because what happens is if something happened to you when you were 2, you get a negative learning. Let's just say it's unsafe to show happiness. It's not conscious, so it's unsafe to show happiness. That's what your subconscious says. And then the next thing is like, okay, so something else happens. So you're going to tag it. Your mind's going to tag it to this unsafe to show happiness. And then if something else happens and something else happens, and it all gets reinforced. So we have these issue strings. And with matrix reimprinting, when we get to the core event, they can all fall down. And that's what's so amazing about matrix reimprinting.
So you don't always have to do every single one.
Right. You don't have to do every single thing. Let me go. I'm going to put still getting used to how to put this back up. But I wanted you to be able to read this. You know, the subconscious runs 95 to 98% of our daily behavior. I like the little idea of conscious and subconscious and the iceberg. And the programs that in these issue strings with our learnings. Now, it might not just be, you know, it's unsafe to show happiness. How does that manifest in your life? Well, it could be, I don't feel safe in groups. It can be, I never find, you know, why is everybody else happy at a party and I'm not, and I'm afraid to be happy because somebody's going to catch me, and then I'll just learn that I shouldn't be happy. I should have been prepared for the worst. And so these negative programs cause stress, and that impacts our body chemically, hormonally, cellularly, and that's what ends up getting disease. So with matrix reimprinting, we literally change our ideas of how this happens, how it's just our perception of what it is. Instead of learning I'm a bad person, you're like, I'm kind of proud of myself. And that's what matrix reimprinting does.
Okay. So that sounds amazing. How does it work? How do you do that?
Okay, well, so what matrix reimprinting was created by Carl Dawson, who was an EFT master, and he was looking for a name to call these little memories, because they're actually in your subconscious. Where's your subconscious? It's he calls it in the field. It doesn't really matter where the subconscious is or how it works. The key is that these little trauma capsules, as we call it, something occurs and everything's locked in time and space. And he calls it energy consciousness holograms, which is called an echo, which is kind of neat because they're echoes of our past. And they kind of loop, or they're there in time, and our whole body energy spirit system refers to those. So what we have to do is actually go back and in our imagination find an event and interact with our echo and help them through that. And I'm going to tell you the steps in just a second.
Okay.
But I want to talk a little bit about the science behind it first.
Yeah, that would be great.
Great. Okay. So in 2009, I found in a magazine, on Discover magazine, that Dr. Karin Davidson did because I mean, how does this stuff work? It sounds all magic.
Right.
And Dr. Karin Davidson says we actually rewrite our memories every time we access them. And at the time, in 2009, the mental health establishment thought that memories were solid and unmovable. And what he discovered is every time you access the memory, you are rewriting it yourself. And if you've ever heard, you know, you like your uncle who walked to school every day barefoot, uphill both ways in the snow, those kinds of things. The more you do it, the more you access the memory, and the more you change it into your perception, the more it looks like that to you. And if you've ever talked to maybe your cousin when you were young, and you know, you talk about somebody who you used to know or a party that you went to when you were little, you'll have completely different memories. It can possibly sound like completely different recollections because of the way your filter is when you're looking at these things and your perception of what occurred. And so what memory consolidation is, what matrix reimprinting does, is actually help you access those memories and reimprint them. That's why it's called matrix reimprinting. And the nice thing is that, and there's in neuroplasticity, regardless of age, your brain has the ability to make new neurons and construct new neural pathways throughout your life.
Oh.
And that is exactly what we do when we're using matrix reimprinting. And when you're working with issue strings, what happens is if I say to you that there's a bird on the fence outside and you can't see it because your back is to it or you're not here in the room with me, what happens is your brain will go out and Google bird and fence. So if you're not in Brazil, it's not going to be a toucan, right? And if you're in a neighborhood, it's probably not going to be an electric fence. So you're automatically Googling, your brain automatically Googles what's going on so that it can be prepared for the world. So once we change that, the Googling changes. And so it's not fear-based anymore. And the other thing is the principle of extinction, which is like Pavlov's dogs, when we have a conditioned response to something. So like the Pavlov's dogs is, he fed them meat and rang a bell. So what happened eventually is they put those, they were conditioned to have saliva whenever the bell was rung. So ring the bell or have saliva even though they didn't meet. That's, everybody knows Pavlov's dogs. So essentially what matrix reimprinting does is it unconditions that response so that we replace enough of the negative learned responses, then with new images, the negative behavior becomes extinct. So we reconsolidate the memory by providing a new learning model for the echo, which I'm going to get into when I go through the steps. We reimprint because we first imprinted something negative. Now we're going to reimprint on top of that to erase that negative learning. We reimprint to enforce the formation of new associated neural pathways. And what happens is the negative belief is replaced with a positive one enough times to make that negative learning extinct. Does that make sense to you?
It does. It's interesting that just because an event happened in our past, I mean, the thought that we don't remember it the same way each time is interesting. And I love the example of the uncle who's walking through the snow uphill both ways. Because that's so true, and it's something I think we can all relate to, you know, those relatives of ours that have stories and how they change over time. And it sounds like matrix reimprinting gives us a way to control how the memory is changing.
A little bit. We'll get into that. The now people don't want to be totally in control, because if we knew how to fix the past, we'd have done it by now. Right. So what we do in matrix reimprinting is we listen to the little younger self. Mm-hmm. I always, you're going to hear me say little self and younger self, because I'm always trying to go to the core issue rather than the multiple issue strings. So what I'm looking for before the age of 6 is what I'm looking for. Okay. It'll still work if your house burned down, 3 weeks ago. You can still use matrix reimprinting on that. But essentially, what I'm going to do is try to go to the younger one. So there are about 7 steps in matrix reimprinting. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Great. And it's very easy. Now, of course, people are, matrix reimprinting is simple. People are not. So you're going to find various things that will come in and where you're going to have to change it a little bit. But the steps don't change. They might change order. You might put some more stuff in there. But the steps themselves don't change. So the first thing you have to do is you have to find an event. Now, because we've heard some people who learn tapping, or so you don't do something general like I'm a bad person. What we're trying to do is find out why you think you're a bad person. And what we'll do is, I'm not going to get into that, but we can open up the energy of why you think you're a bad person and find the various events that either you learned that you were a bad person, or that said, see, I'm a bad person. And whatever the event is, so the first step is to find an event. We can't do matrix reimprinting on global. I do have something called the release and replace shortcut, which is a variation that you can do global to clear a bunch of things at the same time, but you still have to know matrix reimprinting, because there might be some left that you have to go, there's often a lot left that you have to go and be individual. So after you find the event, whatever that is, stick to the one event, even if it's on an issue string. The next thing you do is you freeze and dissociate. So what does that mean? Freezing and dissociate is you just pretend it's sort of a movie, and you're there and you're young, and let's just say I was 3 years old, sitting on the floor playing all, with Legos or something. And my daddy walked in the door and I wanted to show him my Legos, and he started screaming at me for something I did in the kitchen that I didn't know about and I didn't expect it. And, I thought I wanted to show my daddy the Lego thing, right? So then I have to be very careful with being happy, like we talked about, because daddy's going to come in and scream with me. So what I would do is I now remember that time when I'm 3. So I freeze it. Now, the reason I freeze it is because what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to jump into what I call the mountain of feelings, which is when he comes and yells at me.
Sure.
So I'm going to go to that mountain, and now I'm going to be hijacked. I'm going to be all upset, especially if it's a giant event like, rape, abuse, and really bad things. So, or fire burning down or somebody died. So I don't want to be in that mountain. So what I'm going to do is try to dissociate, keep myself away. And if you're working with a client, you've got to really help separate them, because I'm, older now. I'm not 3 years old, obviously. And I'm there to be the hero for my younger self. I'm there to be the one to help her through it so that she's not alone this time and she knows what to do and it's not a bad surprise. So I have to keep myself separate, and the better you imagine this, the better it works. So I pretend like I'm coming in, I'm picturing in my mind's eye little Karin sitting on the floor playing Legos. So I freeze this so that I don't move past into when daddy walks in. So we're not in the mountain, I'm able to freeze. And to help dissociate, what you do is you start thinking, or if you're working with a client, you start describing, she's wearing a yellow dress, she has yellow curly hair, she's sitting on the floor, I'm standing up at the doorway. So now I'm actually drawing a picture in my mind. The better you draw a picture in the mind, the better this works, because what you're doing is entering that trauma capsule and looking at everything that's there to be able to help it. So
what about the people who might not remember, say, what they were wearing in a certain memory?
So it can be okay. We can, that gets a little bit more complicated. There's ways that we can help them, but if you can't actually see it, you can sense it, or I don't remember. What we don't want to do is, I don't remember what I was wearing, because that's staying in your logical mind.
Right.
We have our eyes closed. We're thinking, we're into the energy of the trauma capsule, which is not here and now. Doesn't matter if you remember it or not. Just go ahead. You can make it up if you want, as long as you're sensing around what actually, what's happening. The funny thing is once we get in there, and my experience is people start remembering details that they didn't think they could remember. They're not remembering it. They're putting themselves into the memory, and then it's all there. The truth is the memory's there, everything's there. We just don't have access to it. So once we get in there, then the thing starts opening up. So we dissociate and freeze it. Then what I do is I come in and I introduce myself to my younger self, and we tap. So what is that? That's the third step. So I walk in, hi, I'm you from the future. I've come back to help you through something that's bad that's about to happen. This is if we've gone into the beginning of the memory. If something's bad's happened, and is it okay if I tap on you? And so I start tapping on her little karate chop. Now, if you don't know tapping, you can rub on the side of the hand. Usually with new people, I only use 3 points, which is the side of the hand, hand on the chest, hand on the top of the head. Okay, you don't even have to, it's stimulating. This is stimulating. So it doesn't even have to be tapping if that's not what you do. Essentially what you're doing is you're calming down the little one so that she can have a conversation with you. So after we have the conversation, after we tap her down, how do you feel? You use their exact words. I'm feeling, well, if it's in the beginning there, she's not feeling anything. But let's just say we went in right after daddy left because I'm at the end of the mountain. So there'd be a lot of tapping at that time. I would tap on her and say, how do you feel? I feel hurt that daddy did that. I feel hurt that daddy did that. You feel hurt that daddy did that. You feel hurt that daddy did that. And you imagine the little girl tapping too. What that does is calm her down. Now we go to the next step. Once she's calmed down enough to talk, now you say, how can we help you through this? So now what we're doing is we're trying to find a way for this little girl to get through this without feeling bad. Now, it's still going to be dramatic, but she's not going to be alone this time. She's not going to be isolated and not know what to do and be blindsided, because now she has me there. And by the way, the 4 elements of a trauma is unexpected, dramatic, isolating with no strategy. So since I'm there, that takes away 3 elements of the trauma. It's still going to be dramatic. Daddy yells at her, but she's not going to be alone. She's going to have a strategy. And so all those pieces of the trauma are not there except for dramatic. So I go in and I talk to her and I tell her, you know, we tap, and then how can we get you through this? We can talk about things the mental health field calls denial and what you can and can't change in the matrix. But essentially, let's just go on. I don't think we're going to have time for that. But essentially, what you do is try not to change anything except you're there for her. But you're going to ask the echo. If the echo wants angels to come in, that's fine. If she wants her great-grandmother to sit next to her, that's fine. Usually the echoes will want you as their hero. So that's the step. We've found an event, we've frozen and dissociated, we've gone out and introduced ourselves in taps, we've asked her what she would like. So let's just say, I want you here with me. Okay? And usually in this case, she'd say something like, why does Daddy do that?
Right.
You know, why did he do that? So that gives me, the grown-up me, the opportunity to explain, well, your father was bipolar, he's a perfectionist, you know, every little piece of dirt drives him crazy, but that's because this bipolar is a mental problem. And, you know, she's 3, I gotta be careful of my words.
Yeah.
You know, and so his brain doesn't understand, and it's very critical, and it's not you. And he doesn't take medicine for it, or whatever you want to say, you know, you as the older self doesn't want to take medicine for it. So he doesn't know that he's putting you through this. And I'm sure he didn't mean to scare you, and he doesn't think you're terrible. All these years later, I know that he loves you. He just doesn't know how to express himself. He doesn't know how to talk to you. He doesn't know how to, especially a 3-year-old child, so Daddy just doesn't know. So he didn't mean it. It's just the way Daddy is. And so she'll say, okay, so how can I help you through this? Well, I would just want you to stay with me and hold my hand. You get that a lot. So now what we do, we go to the next step. And this is the most important step because, and I'll get to some of the science right after this. When you, the client, are watching this occur with the little one, she learned something different this time, which means I'm going to learn something different this time too. But I've got to watch it. It's like social behavior modification through copying. So in fact, I should go to that in a minute so that you can see the screen. And by going through it and helping her through this and sitting next to her, holding her hand, of course, I'm invisible because we don't want Daddy to see the grown-up me sitting there. So I turn invisible and I hold onto her hand. And we take her through it. We might have to tap her a little bit just before Daddy's opens the door or whatever. So we go through this event in your mind, separated. I'm sitting next to my little self. My little self is playing Legos. I ask her if she's ready. She says yes. Daddy comes in and yells and leaves. Ask her if she's okay. She says yes. He's just that's his hurdy in his head. So his hurdy in his head, that's great. What a cognitive shift for a 3-year-old child. It's just his hurdy in his head. How does that make you feel that you know that he has a hurdy? Well, I feel bad. Okay, now we know you feel bad about Daddy, but how do you feel about him yelling? Oh, I love Daddy. He just doesn't know, and he doesn't know he's making me feel bad. I said, how does that make you feel? Proud of myself. Now we have a positive emotion. So what we do is we re-imprint the positive emotion. So I have to, the now me goes, okay, this is sounding complicated, it really isn't. I'm going through all the steps. This is a 2-day course. And this is less than an hour explaining all this. 7 steps. So sits down, so she's feeling proud of herself. So now I'm going to re-imprint. This is number 6.
Right.
So when you re-imprint, what you do is you just put your hands on top of your chest and you close your eyes and you think of that picture, the image of her being okay, and the feeling of she's proud of herself. So positive image, positive feelings. And then you do like gravity. You go down through the top of your head, through all your neural pathways, that image and that feeling all the way down to your feet. I'm speeding through this. It's usually very, very slow. Back into your heart because you're feeling all this and it's going through all your cells. Out your heart into the field around you, 360 degrees. You can call it a field, you can call it the world around you. What you're doing is you're just taking that image and those feelings, and essentially what happens is that negative re-imprinting, that negative print that you got when you were 3 is now reversed. I call it flipping. So it's flipping the negative learning to something positive. So you really got to take the time to do that. And normally what will happen then is that that is the memory that you really remember. And some people can't believe it. Now, it doesn't erase your memory. It's not like, poof, it's gone. So you still know that this happened. Your perception is completely different.
Okay.
And that's what's key, is because your perception is completely different, your learning has been very different. You have flipped the negative learning, and all that stuff that you're afraid to talk to men, or you're afraid that people will disappoint you, or whatever you learned at that time, it disappears, and you have a different learning. So the last step after re-imprinting is finding that negative learning and testing to make sure that the picture is actually changed, and that the negative learning, what did she learn at that time? Well, she learned that she could never be good enough for her father. What does she know now? Well, daddy has a hurdy, and that's the way he's acting, and I am good enough. And so with just one 15, 20-minute session, we have flipped that learning till that she is good enough. Now, that's if it was the core event, of course, but essentially that's what matrix re-imprinting is. Now, there's somebody I know, gee, I think it's Carrie, that I thought, you know, I know this is how I take directions, but my husband takes directions by drawing a little map. So I had you draw this. So this is matrix re-imprinting in picture form. You find an event, you freeze and dissociate. Now, the reason you do it as soon as possible is you don't want to slide into the mountain. Right. And notice here that here's you, or the client, and here's you tapping on your younger self, or introducing yourself to the younger self. This is extremely important in matrix re-imprinting. This is not EFT or tapping. Tapping is you feel the emotions yourself. In matrix re-imprinting, we keep the emotions separate. So she's feeling one emotion, and all these years later, you're probably going to have an opinion. But we're all dealing with your opinion right now, because when we help her, you're automatically helped. So you walk in and introduce yourself to your younger self. Tell her you're there to help her. Start tapping on the karate chop, or pressing the karate chop. So you tap on exactly what the echo is feeling. Listen to her words. So if she's young, she's not going to use the words terrified. She's going to be scared. Essentially, you're not fixing it, quote, fixing the emotion in the matrix. You're not trying to get it to a zero like you are in tapping. You're getting her to a point where she can just tell you, what do you want to happen here? How can I help you? All right. Then you allow that to happen. Usually, and best is to having your own now self as the resource for the echoes, making her feel better. And you can come to a course, or there's a lot of videos online that gives you all the different variations of what you can do and what you can't do in the matrix, mental health wise. And then when you get something, then you have a positive learning at the end of letting it happen the good way. Again, I'm going to say that again, letting it happen the good way, the resource way. Then you re-imprint the positive image and feelings. And when we re-imprint, what we're doing is we put the hands on the chest. Now, what you're seeing there is my fingers are on the gamut point. That's another long story I can't get into, but essentially it's a meridian called the triple warmer, and it's extremely important. The triple warmer is extremely important because it's the last stand that stops you from changing your learning. And so if you push on the gamut point when you're doing the happy thing, when you're re-imprinting the happy stuff, the triple warmer actually helps you instead of hinders you. And you bring that, you see that big green arrow goes down through, that's how you remember it, all the way down through the top of your head, all through your body to your feet, back into your heart, and back out into the world around you. So that's re-imprinting. And what I wanted to tell you is about modeling and social learning theories. Albert Bandura wrote a book called Social Learning Theory, and he's the one that said we learn primarily from observation of others. Behavior and attitudes are most effectively altered in the clients if the same pattern of observational learning is used, which means if you learned it by seeing it and observing it, then you can learn something different by seeing it and watching it. The bulk of observational social learning occurs in childhood, thereby forming the attitudes and behaviors of the future, which is what I said before. Now, Their Dr. Taylor says the same thing. What's really nice, and this is part of matrix reimprinting, by revisiting and replacing the past memories, you're triggering the brain to replace the associated neural pathways and build new ones. Thank goodness.
Yes, thank goodness.
And what's really nice is it doesn't matter what age. We're always able to build new neural pathways, no matter how old we get. So you're never lost. So going through the memory the new way models the new learning. Now, I had someone in one of my classes one time in Pennsylvania, and he gave me a call, and it was kind of funny because he said, I'm a psychiatrist. I have this doctorate and this doctorate. I've written this paper and this paper. And so I know everything there is to know. So should I come to your class? I was like, well, you won't be bored. And I can promise you that. I said, I tell you what, if you don't learn anything by the first break, I'll give you your money back. So he came. And he did not leave. He ended up staying for the whole course. But along the way, he said to me, you know something? I did a study in 1968. Whoa. 1968. And on behavioral modeling, modeling supplemented with guidance performance. Mm-hmm. And it was a test with a bunch of college students. And he says what scored the highest was behavioral modeling and rehearsal. Behavioral modeling, which is you follow the behavior of someone that you want to be, and then you rehearse it. Well, by going through it the new way, you're doing both of those at the same time. Right. You're watching your younger self, you're learning how to handle it differently, and then by going in your head, by the way, the echo is really you. So you're actually rehearsing it. We also have something called future reimprinting, which is you can actually, like for speaker phobia or something like that, you can actually future reimprint. You can rehearse the play, or you can rehearse whatever it is you want to do in your mind. And by doing that, it's another form of rehearsal. Well, the reason I wanted to show you this, you see the control?
Yes.
And then we have the various behavioral modeling, self-selected modeling and rehearsal, verbal modeling and rehearsal. Look at the red, the behavioral modeling and rehearsal. If you look at this, look at the drastic change. Now, I went to pre-med at Villanova. So to me, this is a huge thing. By the way, this was printed so long ago that it wasn't in digital form. He had to fax it to me, and I had to recreate it. That's how long ago this was. So I don't think you were even a twinkle in your mommy's eye, Carrie, before this.
I was not.
So this is amazing that over this post-test that there's this much difference. I mean, that is huge. So this is a wonderful way to show why it's so important to go through it the new way.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense, and it's really fascinating that we get to do both in this one technique.
In the one technique. And the key is, what's really great too, is that in a lot of these modalities, you have to think a lot. Even in traditional medicine, talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, you're working a lot to find the reasons and what's the background and why is this like this and how can I flip it and what's a reframe and all the things you study a lot. Yeah. Well, with matrix reimprinting, it all happens for you. You just follow the 7 steps. Poof, you're better. Enough. Because we all have only one issue, right?
Sure.
We have a total issue. So essentially, one issue at a time, we can poof, get rid of it as long as you follow the steps of matrix reimprinting. So hopefully, yes, we do. If you want to have time. Do you have any other questions? And maybe if you'll be my demo subject, if that's okay.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because I think the next question that I have and most people would have is like, okay, let's see it. It sounds almost too good to be true. And you make it sound very easy.
Yeah.
So I think seeing it in action might be really helpful for people.
Okay. The one thing I want to say that reminds me, thank you, Carrie, is that I've memorized the steps. I know also, I teach this all over the world. I've been doing it a long time. I, to speak at conferences and things like that. And so I know the steps. So I'm not thinking of the steps. And so what I do is my whole being and energy system and everything and thoughts and are concentrating on you, the client, and this where we're going. So I don't have to worry about, do I put my foot out here, or do I stick my hand out in here, or what am I doing with this? Because that's all natural. So sometimes when you watch, I have a bunch of demos, by the way, at howtotap.com. My other site is matrixreimprintingus.com. The international site is without the US, so Matrix Reimprinting US, no dot there, the .com is .com.
Okay.
matrixreimprintingus.com, and there's a bunch of videos, so you'll see a bunch of demos there. So I do make it look easy, but it's only because I know the steps. And like anything that you learn, once you get it, once you learn it,
sure,
then you don't have to worry about it. So it is easy once you learn the steps. All right, so the first thing I'm going to ask you to do as a demo is, because this is a demonstration, I want it to be kind of simple, you know, nothing like my father always beat me all the time, or I'm always lonely. You know, something that happened once that's very clear to you. We can do matrix reimprinting when you don't have memories, but that's part of the course and it takes a long time to teach. So what, do you have an event that you didn't like, that you'd like to feel better about?
Yeah, I do. I think it's good because I was pretty young and it was pretty fast. Like, it happened quickly, it's short. I was probably about 6 and I was in church. My family went to church every Sunday. And my cousins and I always sat in the front row during the music because we liked the music.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
Yep.
Because we don't need to know the whole story.
Okay.
For this. And so isn't that great? Because if this was something big, you would easily slide into tears and crying and, you know, hatred, and that you wouldn't be able to help your younger self, because you'd be crying and tears and you know, you'd be all hijacked, and now I have to help you get out of that so you can help your younger self. So I don't even know the story, and I'm going to stop you there. Okay, what I do want to do that I don't do with clients, but I do for demos, is I'd like to, to tell you how you feel about, it's just what we have a measurement, how you feel about that incident. What kind of
now?
Yeah.
Me now. I think I feel embarrassed about it.
Okay, 0 to 10?
Maybe a 6.
All right, any other feelings?
I think it makes me a little sad.
Okay, 0 to 10?
Maybe a 7.
Okay. Now, I just want to point out that you said a little sad, and it's a 7, which is higher than embarrassed. But that's what people do. You know, that's when we tune in. Anything else?
No.
Is there anything that you think you learned from that? Like, you know, I'm not safe, or I'm stupid, or I mean, whatever.
I think I learned something about having fun or being too loose, too free. I don't know if that makes any sense.
And how true is that?
That's very true.
0 to 10?
9.
Okay. Like, it's unsafe to do that, or I shouldn't be like that, or it's
like you'll be embarrassed if you do that.
Ah, okay. Alrighty, so now what I'd like you to do is to close your eyes, and well, before you close your eyes, I'm going to show you something. There's meridians that go on the bottom of your wrist and the top, so I like to have people over Skype to hold on to their wrist. Now, you can do this, but it's uncomfortable. So if you do it on the top, you can rest your hands in your lap.
I see.
Now, while I'm talking to you, you're going to have your eyes closed, and when I talk to you, even if I have a conversation with you, please don't open your eyes, because we got to keep, as soon as you do that, you come back to the conscious mind, and it won't work as well. Okay. So I have my eyes closed myself, so we won't see each other, so it doesn't matter. So please close your eyes, please. And I would like you to, okay, so that's the first part, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to freeze and dissociate. So we're going to freeze that picture, and to dissociate her, I'm going to ask her some questions. So and I'm going to have her say she rather than I'm. She says that keep her dissociated. So she's in the front row?
Yes.
Okay, what is she wearing?
She has on a white dress.
Okay.
It's like poofy sleeves.
Okay. And is she sitting with anybody?
Yes.
Okay.
She's sitting with her two cousins.
Okay. And their names? Or you don't want to say their names? You don't have to say.
It doesn't make a difference.
Okay.
Does it matter?
No.
Yeah.
So your two cousins. Give me their hair color or something, or what they're wearing.
They both have like blondish brown hair.
Okay.
One of them has glasses.
Okay, that's good.
They both have like sweaters and slacks on.
One with glasses. All right, that'll help me. All right, so what I'd like you to do is they're all frozen, right?
Yes.
So what I'd like you to do is everybody's frozen except for little Carrie. Were you called Carrie when you were little?
I will.
Okay. I'd like you to walk up to Carrie. She's in the front pew. You can probably reach over the front. And just introduce yourself, tell you're from the future, and you've come back to help her through something. And ask her if it's okay to tap on her karate chop.
Do I do it out loud or in my head?
Yeah, it would be preferable because that way I can help facilitate in case something goes wrong.
Okay, so out loud.
Yes, please.
Hi, Carrie. I'm you from the future, and I'm here to help you with something that's going to happen at church today.
Okay, so obviously we are in the beginning before the bad things happened.
Yes.
So that means she's not feeling anything, most likely. We're going to still ask her and ask her if it's okay to tap on her karate chop.
Is it okay if I tap on your hands on the side?
Okay, so you notice how Carrie changed my words. That's good because she doesn't know what tapping is when she's 6 years old. So she had to explain it. So that was good. And clients will do that for you naturally, usually. So are you tapping? Is she okay with that?
Yeah, she's okay with it.
Okay, and I want you to just say, how are you feeling right now?
How are you feeling right now?
And be sure to listen to her answer. Now, some people have a hard time because they want to answer for her. Just the more you practice this, the easier it gets to listen.
She is, I mean, she's very kind of light about it. She's like, I'm fine. The music is going to start. She's really she likes the music a lot.
So there's no negative feelings? Is there any negative? I mean, they're probably not because nothing's happening yet.
Nothing negative yet, just happy. She likes sitting in the front. She likes being with her cousins. She's really close with them. And she's excited for the music.
Okay, I'd like to re-imprint this positive thing since we're here to positive.
Okay.
Just put your hands on top of each other, or you know how to push the gamut, and just how she's happy and she loves the music and she likes her cousins. And the music's about to start. Bring that down to the top of your head, all through your body. And I'm going to do this quickly so we don't run out of time. Down to your feet. Usually it's slower. Happy in that image of her being happy and excited about hearing the music because she likes it, out into the world around her and her cousins and the picture. Okay. And then go back to holding your wrist. Again, I'm moving really quickly. All right. So now what I'd like you to do is continue tapping on her karate chop. And now you're going to tell her the bad thing that's going to happen. However, just the facts, Max. You're not going to tell her how she's going to feel, because this time she's going to feel differently because you're there with her.
Okay.
So just tell her the facts about what's going to happen. So don't say you're going to feel this. It's like you're going to be embarrassed. Do not tell her that, because this time hopefully she won't be embarrassed. Okay. All right. So go ahead and tell her the details about what's going to happen, but just the facts, Max.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you what's going to happen next. The music's going to start, and the first song is going to be Down in Your Heart. And when it comes time to yell out where in the song, which is one of your favorite parts, the person leading the music is going to put the microphone in front of your face, in front of your mouth, and you're going to say where, sing where really loudly, and everyone in the room is going to laugh.
Okay. Now ask her, now that she's say this to her, now that you know what's going to happen, how does that make you feel?
Okay, now that you know what's going to happen, how does that make you feel?
Make a comment here because that's very good. You see how Carrie's taking time? That means she's really trying to listen and not determine what she feels, because all these years later she has opinions. She's actually listening to her younger self. And what does she say?
She feels just nervous.
Okay.
Why does everyone laugh?
Okay. And why does everyone laugh? Okay. All right. So right now, let's just tap on her nervousness. Does she use the word nervous? Yeah, I guess she would at 6 years old. It's okay. All right. We're going to only use 3 points. So just in case you're new at this. So tap on her karate chop and say, even though you're nervous.
Even though you're nervous.
You're still a good girl.
You're still a good girl.
Even though you're nervous.
Even though you're nervous.
You're still a good girl.
You're still a good girl.
And I'm here with you.
And I'm here with you.
And you survived through this.
You survived through this.
Now tap on her collarbone point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And say you can actually put your hand up in the air if you want and tap on her collarbone point, unless it's distracting for you. Okay. You're nervous.
You're nervous.
Of course you're nervous.
Of course you're nervous.
Anybody would be.
Anybody would be nervous.
And I'm here with you.
I'm here with you.
And now the top of her head. You're nervous.
You're nervous.
Of course you are.
Of course you are.
But I'm here with you this time.
I'm here with you this time.
And you're a good little girl.
And you're a good little girl.
Okay, go back to tapping on her karate chop. And how is she feeling now?
And how do you feel now? I think nervousness is better because I'm here with her.
Okay, good.
She still doesn't understand why everyone would laugh at her.
Okay, that's what we're going to go to next. Now, do you know why they laughed, Carrie?
I think because she was really, really cute. Like, she was little and excited, and you know, little
good.
kids, when they do cute things.
Right, right. Can you tell her that, please?
Okay.
Tell her that she's cute. Do you think she's cute? Do you think she's cute?
Yeah, she's really cute.
Okay, so I only want you to tell her the truth, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So tell her she's really cute. Everybody thinks she's cute. She yells into the microphone all excited. Okay.
Okay.
And and if I say something that you don't believe, don't say it.
Okay.
Change it to your words.
Okay. So when you yell into the microphone and you're really excited, and you know you're excited about the song, you're just so cute. You're adorable when you do it, and everyone thinks it's cute. And sometimes when grown-ups think things are really cute and are surprised by it, they laugh because it makes them happy.
Okay, good. And does she believe you?
Yeah, kind of.
What's going on?
She's just kind of like, okay, like, I don't know why. I don't know why she doesn't really.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so but is she nervous? Still nervous, but she understands that they're going to laugh, and she understands what you said.
She just doesn't understand why laughing wouldn't be bad. Like,
okay, do you have a reason why laughing wouldn't be why when laughing isn't bad? Have you laughed at like a puppy when he rolls over on the ground?
Yeah.
Or when he falls, and tumbles over himself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you give her a story like that of a time where you laughed at something that, I don't think the puppy thought it was funny. He fell down.
Okay.
Okay, can you give her an example?
Yeah. Okay. So, this is just like when you see something really cute and little, like a puppy who is really excited and he's running around, and then he like tumbles over, or he rolls around because he's too excited and he's going too fast. And sometimes we laugh when that happens, not because the puppy doesn't think it's funny, and not because we're making fun of him or it's a bad thing, but just because he's so cute. When people are happy, they laugh. And so when you sing to the microphone and the people in church when they laugh, it's because they're happy. And people in church are really happy when little kids are excited about Jesus.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so ask her how can we help her through this?
Okay.
And you can give her choices like, I can stay here with you. You can watch a movie of it. You can laugh along too. Anything you want. What would she like? So ask her that.
Uh-huh. What would you like me to do to help you through this? Do you want me to stay with you? Do you want to see a movie of it happen first? Do you want something different? I think she just wants me to stay with her.
Yeah.
When it happens.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
She wants to see, like, when people are laughing, she wants to be able to like look and see that they're happy. It's happy laughing and me laughing.
Okay. So since she's in the front row, can you hold a mirror up or something when they laugh so that she can see their faces? Or maybe put...
Well, there's a bunch of people on the stage in front of her because the choir is up there.
Oh, okay. Would that be good enough?
Yeah, it's a lot of her family members.
Okay. So we're going to start wrapping up soon. So let's go through this.
Yep.
Tell me what happens. Go to the beginning and just talk me through it. You narrate what's happening. So you're there with her and you're invisible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm just sitting in the chair on the other side of her, invisible, and I'm just holding her hand. She's holding my hand. And the music starts, and it's this song. And she's singing and really enjoying it. And her cousins are too. And then when it comes time to say the where, to yell out the where part, the music leader comes over and he puts the microphone in front of her face, and she yells where, and everyone is laughing.
Now, does she see people laughing happy, or is she embarrassed, or do we need
No, she's just looking at people's faces, which I don't think she did the first time.
Okay. Good.
Their faces are happy. I think the only thing that she was surprised by was how loud it was in the microphone, and I forgot to tell her that.
Okay, let's just back it up a little bit and say it's going to be loud, and that's okay.
It's going to be loud in the microphone. That's okay, because that's what microphones do.
Okay, go ahead. And so the microphone goes under her.
Uh-huh. And she says it's loud. She knows it's going to be loud this time.
And let her look at the people's faces. I'm pushing you through. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. People are laughing, and she's looking at their faces, and they're like happy laughing.
Okay. Ask her how she feels now about it.
How do you feel now about this? Okay. She's not embarrassed.
Okay. Does she think it's funny? Does she still think the music was nice? Did she still like, or does, what?
She still likes the music, and she still likes the song.
Mm-hmm. Let's just reimprint that she's looking at the faces, because you said that didn't happen the first time. So put your hands over your chest, and then just how that people are laughing in a happy face. So she's looking at them and how they're happy, down to the top of your head, all through your face and body to your feet, that she's happy in that picture, that she's looking at the faces and seeing that they're happy. There you go. A yawn is good. It means energy is moving back into your heart, bigger and brighter, out into the world around you. Okay? Now, go ahead and hold your wrist. I want you to tell her that anytime she needs you, you'll come back, that she did a really good job.
Anytime you need me, I can come back, and you did a really, really good job.
Okay? She good?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to open your eyes. Okay? Welcome back to Earth.
Thank you.
And how embarrassed are you about this situation when you think about it, 0 to 10?
I don't think I'm embarrassed by it.
At all?
Mm-mm.
Okay, how about sad?
I think it's hard to separate like just this event from what I know what happens from that event. So I feel sadness because I know that like later she makes decisions that based on that are sad. But
that does happen a lot. We're going to try to stick to this event, so that just means that there's more to do. Like there's another event. So we're going to stick to this event. And so the sadness, anything left has not to do with this event. Is that true?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I don't think it's about this event.
And finally, can you have fun without being embarrassed?
I think I'm on my way to having fun without being embarrassed.
All right, we're getting closer. So this is obviously an example of, there's other attached things in the issue string. So we cleared this one event, and then we would go back to the another event that's along the similar string. And I would go ask, we're out of time, but I would go ask, what negative learning did she learn there, and what has she learned now? Mm-hmm. If you can do that really fast, because we're still waiting on Lee. So if you want to go ahead and close your eyes and see what she's, what she learned the first time, and what she's learned now.
I think she learned that she had to be careful, else people would laugh at her.
Okay.
And
I think now she feels like she's really cute and she can make people happy.
Very nice. Now that's what we call a flip.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'd like you to do for the rest of the day is not think about the bad parts, but re-imprint those good parts, because that's a wonderful learning. So thank you for going through that and telling us
Thank you.
that you went through. I'm going to close it up right now and bring in Mike and Sandra while we wait for Lee. So Carrie at workwithcarrie.com. Thank you for doing what you did. And I'm Karin at howtotap.com on Living Energy Day with Zoom. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.